Scammers are stealing billions of dollars from America's seniors, and they're ramping up their efforts. With calls, texts, or clicks, they can steal a senior's entire life savings. But we have the power to stop these criminals. AARP is fighting for bipartisan, common-sense solutions to protect older Americans' hard-earned money from scammers. Join us today. Visit action.aarp.org/fraud pledge. Paid for by AARP.
Welcome to the program. No Victocrats allowed because we've got a country to save. So let's get her teed up!
You want to play rock? Say hello to my little friend. What the hell's going on out here?
Ooh, that's a bingo. Hey, El Dorados, Carl Jackson will be sitting in for me today. Try and be kind. I know he's not the black face of white supremacy, but I worked very hard for that title, and I ain't giving it up. Please say hello to Carl Jackson.
We don't have that much time because by the time both parties get there, they just got the okay to go forward, which I knew they were going to do anyway. I mean, I don't think they had a choice. They have to negotiate. And, the one thing I'll say is this. Iran can get themselves on a very good footing if they make a deal. They can make themselves into a strong nation again, a wonderful nation again. They have incredible people. But they seem to be, bloodthirsty. They're led by some very, very, unfortunately, tough people. And I don't mean tough in a good way. I think it's very negative for the country because we're much tougher than they are, like not even close. But they have to use reason, and they have to use common sense, and they can get themselves into a great position to make themselves into a great country, but a legitimate country, not a country based on death and horror. What I think is that we're going to end up with a great deal. I think they have no choice. We've taken out their Navy. We've taken out their Air Force. We've taken out their leaders, frankly, which does complicate things in one way, but these leaders are much more rational. It is regime change, no matter what you want to call it, which is not something I said I was going to do, but I've done it, indirectly maybe, but I've done it. And I think we're in a very strong negotiating position to do what other presidents should have done during a 47-year period. We have 47 years with these bloodthirsty people and 42,000 unarmed protesters, innocent unarmed protesters, many of them hung. So we're not dealing with the nicest group of people, but we're dealing with them very successfully, and the blockade has been a tremendous success. They said 2 days ago, we will open the strait. I said, no, we're not going to open the strait until we have a final deal. No, we want to open the strait. They said, we're not opening. We totally control the strait, just so you understand, for all the fake news out there. Well, I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with, but we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go. They are absolutely incredible. I built the military in my first term. I'm using it now. They will blow up the world. You want to see a bad stock market? Try blowing up the Middle East and then Europe, and then they come for us, right? And we're not going to let that happen. We can't let traitors like Schumer put pressure
that's President
on you.
Trump. That is President Trump. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great Eldersky, sitting in for Larry Elder. It's such a pleasure to be in. It's been a long time since I've been here. I started to wonder if Larry Elder was punishing me. But anyway, it is always a pleasure and it's an honor. I feel like when I sit in for Larry Elder, I should have a robe, like a purple robe and a like a king's hat or a crown, if you will. It just feels so nice. So it's always an honor to be in for Larry, the great Eldersky, putting it down as always. Okay, guys, we got a lot to get to tonight. Obviously, we're going to start with Trump extending the Iran ceasefire. Now, I'm not a fan of the ceasefire. I will say that right from the get-go. For those of you that may have heard me on podcasts, that may have heard me on radio, but I like what President Trump has done with Iran. I think this has been the most successful military campaign that we've seen in modern American history. I don't even think it's close. And they're not going to give President Trump the credit. I'm speaking of the mainstream media. I'm speaking of the left and even, frankly, some establishment figures within the Beltway because this is so successful. Now, what you do have to keep in mind, and the reason why I don't believe a ceasefire is worthwhile is simply because of this. We're dealing with people that want to kill us, that believe they're mandated to kill us. That's part of their religion. That's part of their belief system. and you're not going to be able to negotiate your way past that. But I think what President Trump has been doing essentially is buying time. Again, the guy has destroyed their drone manufacturing plants. He's destroyed their Navy. He's destroyed their missile defense. You've got the IRGC basically running things out there. And I heard a lot of commentators say, well, now you've got the hardliners running things. What? The hardliners have been running things for 47 years in Iran. What are you talking about? You have the murderers out there running stuff. And so from that perspective, I get that. I understand that. But that's basically what you have. But J.D. Vance was headed, Vice President J.D. Vance was going to head to Islamabad. They basically called that off, and he was in the White House, I believe, with Steve Witkoff and some other leaders today. President Trump said since these people are having a hard time, they killed all of the leaders. And I do want to make this clear. I don't think it's regime change at this point. But I do believe that it's leadership change. But the regime, in my opinion, you have to take out the besieged, you have to take out the IRGC, or you have to at least take enough of them out where the people can come out on the street and basically take over. And frankly, I think that we've gone so far, so deep. In my opinion, at this point, that's what needs to happen. And I don't think that's far from happening. And I just wonder if President Trump, we never know what President Trump is doing in a sense. I mean, he is the president that is essentially the guy that he is the guy that invented, if you will, the art of the deal, or at least that's the strategy based upon his book. That's the strategy that he uses. But now that you don't know who you're necessarily negotiating with, but you do know that you're negotiating with the most radicals, I believe they're probably going to fight it out some. And I wouldn't doubt that we go after these people and just continue to fight and bust their butts like we have to. The media has been rooting for this Iranian conflict, for the Trump administration, for President Trump to lose this Iranian conflict. And it's really a sick thing to watch. It just tells you how much they hate America, how much they hate the president, how much they're desperate for power. Man, I got so much to get to. And by the way, we got listeners in Virginia. For those of you that are out there in Virginia, if you still have time to get to the polls, make sure you get to the polls and make sure you vote no, because the left is trying to totally destroy your state. Abigail Spanberger just recently got into office, and this lady, she is no joke. I mean, everybody's focused on Mamdani, as well they should be. But this lady is a commie that is, man, she's got her commie shoes on. I tell you to get your conservative shoes on and get ready. This lady's got her commie shoes on, so we'll get into that. But the bottom line, when it comes to President Trump and when it comes to Iran, this is a conflict that we're winning. I know a lot of people are saying, well, President Trump said it'll be 4 or 6 weeks. Guys, 47 years of torment from these people in Iran, killing, maiming Americans. This guy has virtually destroyed them in 50 days or so. 50 days. Think about that. This paper tiger. The Middle East, I mean, all of the Gulf states were completely scared of the Ayatollah, of the mullahs, scared of what they would do. They're crazies. They're nuts. These guys have funded the proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and all of these people just afraid. President Trump comes in. This is something he's been talking about for 40 years. He realized that these people should not be. He has a goal and a desire to bring the Middle East together, to make it a more peaceful place, so that it's not just Israel that's peaceful out there. Obviously, you have the UAE, you have Saudi Arabia, Bahrain that are a little more peaceful. I get that. But obviously, it's Israel that is the major democracy in the Middle East. And so now President Trump is doing what he's always wanted to do. And frankly, I believe the threat was imminent. We're finding out more information every day when it comes to Iran. We are also finding out, and I love this, and we knew this was happening, but obviously that ship that our Navy put 3 holes in the other day in the engine room, we now know that cargo ship was transporting chemicals, weapons-grade chemicals to Iran. So what we're doing in Iran is we're putting China on blast. We're putting Russia on blast. This is the current axis of evil. You have China, you have Russia, you have Iran, you have North Korea, you had Venezuela, you had Cuba. You no longer have those. So now you have the Western Hemisphere that is strong. You have a Middle East that is getting stronger and more peaceful. I mean, you have the Iranian people that have offended the Gulf states, if you will. The Gulf states were just sitting back trying to play coy, although the Prince of Saudi Arabia was whispering in Trump's ear, go ahead, and blow these fools up. He wanted the mullahs to go. He wanted the Ayatollah to go. He was doing that secretly, but now it's out in the open. Now it's an open secret. These Gulf states, including Lebanon, they want Iran to go, at least the Iranian regime. And so I'm just praying that the people of Iran, because, I mean, we can't imagine the conditions on the ground. The U.S. naval blockade was just genius, absolutely genius, putting a blockade on a blockade, if you will. And that blockade is still crippling Iran. And so there is a ceasefire, an extended ceasefire. We'll see what that actually means, I'm sure, within the next 24 to 48 hours. Carl Jackson, and for the great Eldersky, baby. We'll be back.
Parents, the biggest question in education today is how artificial intelligence is shaping the way your student learns. Artificial intelligence is changing education faster than most schools are willing to admit, and many families are rightly concerned. At Patrick Henry College, the goal isn't to outsource thinking to machines. It's to train students to think for themselves. PHC emphasizes a Christian liberal arts education that develops reasoning, writing, speaking, and discernment skills no algorithm can replace. Students learn to engage technology wisely, understanding its capabilities, but also its danger and limitations, rather than becoming dependent on it. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, Patrick Henry College prepares students to lead with wisdom, conviction, and moral clarity. If you want a college that prepares your child to lead in an AI-driven world without losing his or her faith and values, I encourage you to learn more about Patrick Henry College. Visit phc.edu/elder. That's phc.edu/elder.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. You heard the man, 888-971-SAGE. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great Eldersky. I want to thank everybody that's helping me out here. Lou's got my back right here at AM 950, theanswerorlando.com. Mr. McConnell is in my ear. Rick Low-Key is somewhere out there in the ether. And then we have Chris Levan. It's not Levon because he's not bougie, but Chris Levan. Producing the show. So we appreciate you guys, and we appreciate those of you that are in the listening audience. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. So much to get to in this show. The news is just voluminous. It is completely nonstop with President Trump in office, but there's a lot going on, a lot that we got to pay attention to. Obviously, I just talked about Iran. That is going to be an ongoing issue. I'll get to my caller soon. George, I see you out there, so you will be up first. Leslie Friedman on the lines. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. Good to see you, Leslie, kind of, sort of. All right, so anyway, 888-971-SAGE. But we talked about Iran. Again, this is a problem that I think needs to be remedied. We've gone too far at this point. The left does not want to give President Trump the win on this because it would prove beyond the fact that President Trump has done I believe, a marvelous job in dealing with this Iran conflict. It'll prove that the strategies that we've used over the last several decades have just been not good. Now, I mean, honestly, one of the things that President Trump has done, I believe one of the most important things he's done besides framing a clear objective. Don't listen to the media that says there's not been a clear objective by President Trump. It's been clear all along. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has made the same case. We don't want them to have nuclear power, nuclear weapons. We got to get rid of that uranium that exists there, right? We don't want them to have missiles where they can shoot it at us or shoot it at our allies. That's not going to happen. We don't want these proxies. We don't want Hamas. We don't want Hezbollah. Hezbollah. We don't want the Houthis running roughshod, going crazy, and all that kind of stuff. And we want the people free. Now, that hasn't been, at least in my opinion, communicated enough. But I think if you really want to bring freedom to the Middle East, one of the most important things that should happen, in my opinion, are the Iranian people, the Persian people need to be free. Now, we know that President Trump tried to arm some of the people using the Kurds, and the Kurds took the weapons, all right? Kurds, bad thing. All right. So unfortunately, the people are not armed. That means that we're going to have to kill more of these military people. I know people say we don't have the stomach for this. This isn't what he ran on. I didn't bring I have a folder full of just old research that I've accumulated where I'm like, I can read this 50 years from now. I know I'm a research hoarder. But anyway, going back to the Trump's 2024 platform, point number 8, he basically explained that Iran wasn't going to stick around with a nuclear weapon. It just wasn't going to happen. So this isn't anything new. It was part of it was one of his campaign promises, quite frankly. He didn't think he would have to deal with it at this level, I guess. But he took this excursion. And frankly, I'm glad that he did, because it's going to make America stronger in the long run. For those of you that don't believe that this is America first, I'm sorry. I think you're wrong. I do believe that this is America first, because now China is looking at us. Now Russia is looking at us. Some of the people that were haters in the Middle East, and they're like, oh, my goodness, this guy is not playing around. This guy isn't bluffing. But more than that, if we were to get a Democrat in, if they had a backbone in office, they would know the power and might of the American military if we so chose to use it. President Trump took the handcuffs off of our military. That has not been done, and God knows how long. You know, a lot of people are hating on the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. They don't like the way he talks. They don't like the way he acts on camera, a little too boisterous. And I get it. Sometimes I'm like, little too much. All right, we can calm down a little bit. I get that. But I'm also looking at the results. I'm looking at Venezuela. I'm looking at Cuba. I'm looking at a motivated military now with recruitment rates that skyrocketed under President Trump and under the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And I'm looking at the results. For once in a long time anyway, our soldiers don't have to play political games or on the battlefield. They can do their job. Their job is to kill people. Their job is to break stuff, and they're doing it effectively, and the world is watching. That's going to make America safer in the long run, hence America first. So I love it. Let's take a call. Let's go to George. George is calling from L.A. L.A. George, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Thank you, Carl. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Go right ahead.
All right. Super. I'll try to make this brief. There's a lot I'm trying to say in just a few words, but I kind of liken the whole situation in Iran to a cancer, a pathology of cancer. And one could view the Navy being taken out and various other things that have been destroyed, which are very positive, as destroying symptoms of the cancer. But it really hasn't gotten to the actual destroying the cancer itself, the basic cancer cells that are still there, i.e., the regime that's been in place for 47 years. And in your first clip, you played a track of President Trump talking, and again, he kind of indicated that the regime had been changed. That's not true. I think he's doing a great job. I'm for him, but I think sometimes it's a little bit inaccurate there. And you corrected what he said when you came on just now about the fact that the regime is in progress. That needs to be done. The cancer needs to be completely cut out of that area. Otherwise, it's going to happen all over again. And until that's happening, so our regime has to be completely done. Okay?
Yeah.
And when that happens, the whole thing will dramatically change for the better, and it'll be good. It'll be history. So thank you for your clarification on that, Carl. That was very smart, really, really good on your part to clarify that.
Thank you. Listen, I appreciate you being out there. And if you want to call in and be a part of the conversation, we're going to get to this Virginia gerrymandering momentarily. Guys, this is extremely, extremely important. But I think I agree with the caller. He agrees with me, apparently. I just think, and I don't think you need to go. Obviously, there's tons of IRGC. There's tons of besieged. They just need to know that you're serious and you're going to kill them, too. I'm not negotiating with a bunch of terrorists that believe that they have to kill us and they have to kill Jews in order to bring in in order for the 12th Imam, the Mahdi, to reveal himself. That's their savior in essence. No, you're not going to be able to deal with people like that. And I think that's the issue sometimes that secularists run into, or even conservatives that may not necessarily be religious, even if you're an atheist. You know what I'm saying? The problem with when it comes to foreign policy in the Middle East, they take two things very seriously. They take God very seriously, and they take violence very seriously. So you have to understand their religion, and you have to understand you got to use force to get rid of them. We'll be back. Oh, man. Oh, this song takes me back, unfortunately, Sean, to my sinful days. So I wish you wouldn't have blasted it like that. But no, just playing. Oh, man. This song is the bomb. Hey, and you are the bomb. I appreciate you being out there. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. I'm your guest host sitting in for the great Eldersky, Larry Elder. It's always a privilege, always an honor, always fun to sit in for Larry Elder. The number to call in to the program, 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. I don't think I'll ever rise to the level of blackface of white supremacy. So I don't think you have to worry about that, Larry. But anyway, always an honor. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE, coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. You can check me out online, all things social media, at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show. Also, please subscribe to my podcast, The Carl Jackson Show, on YouTube or wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. Like, share, and subscribe. Por favor. All right, we've been talking about Iran. I want to get into what's happening in Virginia. Callers, if you are listening in Virginia, please, I'd love to hear from you what's happening in Virginia. Please tell me that voters are getting it right. I'll check Real Clear Politics, see if there's some numbers popping up or what have you. But remember to vote no on this referendum. And I'll go through that momentarily. Last week, I was on air for Chris DeGaulle. I will be this on Thursday and Friday as well. But I was talking to you about what Abigail Spanberger was doing with the Electoral College and the Virginia Democrats, what they were doing with the Electoral College. And basically, they signed on to a pact with these other blue states. And callers, I see you out there. Some of you want to talk about Iran. That's fine. 888-971-SAGE. We'll talk about that, too. So Perry and Ted, don't go anywhere. If you want to call in, 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. But if you want to know what the left is going to do, I hear people frustrated all the time. They're worried about the economy. I get it. Listen, I'm concerned about the economy, but I know that this is going to be short-lived. I know that things are going to get better. And more importantly, I heard someone else make this point. I can't recall who, but I do want to make this point. We know that Trump wants the economy to get better. That isn't the case with the Democrat Party, particularly when they're not in power. We've seen it before. We saw the 40-year high inflation under the Biden administration, and we had Kamala Harris, and we had Biden, and we had the rest of his staff telling us that Bidenomics is working. We experienced the COVID lockdowns under the Democrat reign, under the Biden administration, and they told us that they were doing the right thing to keep us safe. We just went through this. See, what the left realizes is that many voters have short-term memory. Many voters are emotional, and that matters. Republicans aren't as good as making emotional arguments as Democrats, but they're far better when it comes to policy, even when it comes to feckless Republicans, quite frankly. I don't like calling them rhinos. I believe that there's Republicans are Republicans. There's just some good ones and there's some bad ones. I think it's as simple as that. There's some fighters And there's some that they go there, go to Washington, D.C. Maybe it's the state capitol. Maybe it's the local municipality. And they simply don't do the job that you elected them to do. Thank God we don't have that on President Trump. We don't have that in some Republicans, but we have it in many. But sadly, the Democrat Party, they're not playing around. They're getting these lefties in. They're getting these commies in, like Abigail Spanberger, who just last week, as I was mentioning on the Chris DeGaulle show, was literally getting rid of the Electoral College. I encourage you guys to go watch the PragerU video on the Electoral College. It is so informing. It is so enlightening. You should do it. PragerU.com. They still put out great stuff. Love you, Dennis Prager, and keep getting better and better and better, and continuing to share your wisdom. But the Electoral College is so crucial. And what Virginia Democrats want to do under the leadership of Abigail Spanberger, actually, she already signed the legislation, is they want to wipe it out. They want to be able to allocate the Electoral College points to the popular vote winner. Now, I understand what I'm saying. I'm saying if, let's say, for example, a Republican wins in 2028 and they carry Virginia, but they lose the popular vote. What Abigail Spanberger has signed says, all right, we're not going to allocate those Electoral College points to the person that won the state. If it's a Republican, basically, right? We're going to subscribe to the popular vote. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. The Electoral College, I even heard conservatives say we should get rid of this. No, we should probably get rid of you. The Electoral College is so crucial. It helps us to remain unique. It helps every state remain an experiment, a laboratory in and of themselves. So anyway, we'll be back. I'll take your calls. Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. All right, welcome back to the program. This is the Larry Elder Show. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Larry. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. The number to call in, 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE, and you will get Leslie Friedman. So that's a treat in and of itself. Let's go to the lines real quick. Let's go to Perry. Perry is calling from Springfield. Springfield where? Missouri, Illinois? I'm not sure. Perry, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hi. Remember when President Trump at the beginning...
Okay. Let's go to Ted. Ted is calling from L.A. Ted, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Amen, brother. God bless you. In Jesus' name. Ted, City of Angels. I just wanted to share, we can do the two-part. I'll do the Iran last, but look, the left, we're talking about the songs you grew up with. You grew up with me, too. We were going to all the dances, Red Onion, whatever, in West Los Angeles, Chippendales, you name it. So, the song it brings me that would describe the left is, that song when the woman's singing and she says, I don't want no scrub leaning out the passenger side hollering at me. Yeah, they're scrubs. Yes. And, and I played a lot of football with South Central blacks, and they would call them sorry. They're sorry. You know what I mean? And there was no bench getting up and taking the head of the team. You earned it, or you were sorry. And basically that's their game plan. They want to frustrate us because we're professional, we're conservatives. They want to frustrate us, get us to react because that's all they got. Let's cause a riot because that's all they got, and let's make you worried, because when you go to play a football game, it might be a riot. So, and they get you to where you're worried about getting out of there alive instead of playing the football game, and that's their whole MO. Why? Because they're sorry, and that's all they got. And if we just stay the course and not worry about all that, a strong America makes the rest of the world safe. We are the heroes. They just try to demonize us so they can take our power. But we are the heroes. We always have been. And they just do bad media to make us and paint us in this horrible picture that we're the demonized. We use the atomic bomb. Right. when we know that Japan was murdering everybody and they were part of the evil axis, and that, you know, we were the ones that came in and ended it, basically. Otherwise, they'd have continued to murder millions more of Chinese people. So, and everything else they did along the way. Yes,
it's a good point, and I love the way you framed it. They're sorry. You're absolutely right. The Democrat Party, the left, they're sorry. I love that. I'm going to be using that. I used to say that myself, and now you reminded me of it, so I'm gonna steal it. But I appreciate you being out there, and thank you for the call. Ted is absolutely right. The Democrat Party, as they exist today, especially, they are sorry. We know they are sorry. They're sorry. They're lazy. Again, just real quickly, going back to Abigail Spanberger, I haven't even got into what's happening in Virginia. Virginians, if you're out there, please vote no. Please vote no on the referendum. I'm going to go through some of the tricks that they're playing. But again, just a week or so. It's every week. If you want to know what the Democrat Party is going to do, you need look no further than California. Frankly, please go out and vote for Steve Hilton. You need look no further than California. You need look no further than New York City with Mamdani. You need look no further than Abigail Spanberger. Abigail Spanberger, she frankly terrifies me because she is running roughshod. This is what I believe white liberal women will do when they get in power. White leftist women, I should say. She is going no holds barred. Her numbers are unpopular, and a lot of conservatives are talking about that as well. They should be, right? Her poll numbers are low. She's not liked. So that could have huge ramifications the next time there's a midterm election there, the next time there's a gubernatorial election there in 4 years or so. People are probably going to remember how much they hated her, anybody associated with her, but she can do a lot of damage in between time, and that's what she's trying to do. So wiping out the Electoral College now, unless this pact, I forget the name of the pact that they're involved in, gets to 270 Electoral College points or votes, then they really don't have the leverage. They really don't have the leverage to make this popular vote, national popular vote movement happen. But this is what they want. Oh, Carl, I think we should have a national popular vote. Yeah, do you want to include the 20 million illegals that Biden brought into the country? Are you crazy? Now, I do think there are some times, actually, where Republicans may benefit from that. But I don't want to destroy the states. I don't want to destroy the uniqueness of the states. I don't want welfare states. I don't want every state that I travel to feel like California, to feel like New York City, to feel like Illinois. Every single individual state is a laboratory. It's an experiment. That's how I want it to stay. That's what they are trying to disrupt. And now you've got this amendment. Guy Benson, callers don't go anywhere. I see Kevin. I see David. I see Michael. 888-971-SAGE. 888-971-SAGE. All right, is the number to call into the program. But let me just read. Guy Benson had a fantastic column on this. It kind of annoyed me because I read some other columns, and then I read his, and I was like, crap, I should have started. I should have started there. He had everything outlined and so concisely. Fox News contributor. I don't know if he still writes for Town Hall, but this was in Washington Examiner. But he says here, Virginia Democrats have rammed through a snap election. All right, initiated just weeks after they took full power in Virginia and Richmond to try to change the state constitution, to redraw the Commonwealth's congressional maps prior to the November midterm elections. So what you're seeing already, and I'll get into the details because this thing, at least according to some scholars, is illegal what they're doing. But they're going to do it anyway. The state Supreme Court is going to see what happens with this referendum. But what he's saying is a snap election. Basically, the Democrats said, let's get this election together. We want this referendum on a ballot. We want to make this vote occur right now before the midterms. And what we're going to do, Virginia is a purple state, a balanced state. Right now, you have six Democrats in the House of Representatives. You have 5 Republicans in the House of Representatives, okay? And what the Democrats are trying to do is make it 10-1. Gerrymander the state to make it 10 Democrats. And look at how crazy Abigail Spanberger is. I hope this blows up in their face. Virginia, save us, por favor. I'll be back to take your calls. That's for you, Tom. You call into the Larry Elder Show. You're a good caller. You get a song played for you. Pretty cool. Sean McConnell, the best on air when it comes to this stuff, no doubt about it. 888-971-SAGE coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. Man, time is flying so fast. I tell you what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to have enough time to continue to go through as much or cover as much as I would like to when it comes to what's happening in Virginia. But it's a conversation that we need to have, because it's in lieu of everything else the left is doing. And what the media is trying to do is they're trying to make you so mad at Trump and pay attention to Trump. And I understand President Trump is, posting something on Truth Social or Twitter, whatever it may be, every day. He has a big personality, and the left uses that to their advantage sometimes, and they try to do stuff on the sly. So I want to make you aware of some of the things that are going on, but I got a lot that I want to talk about. And also the theme of the show. I always like working with a theme. Today it's Faith, Family, Freedom, and Prosperity 2026 versus commies, trans, welfare dependency, and poverty. Because that's what the left is going to give you. So we will be talking about Virginia gerrymandering. We will be talking about election fraud, some of the things that have been popping up. And then when the left tells you who they are, believe them. You have Representative Chip Roy that has come out with this Mamdani Act. I want to talk to you about that. And also, Democrats, the socialists, they're telling you exactly who they are. So when they say they want to make life affordable for you, don't believe them. Mamdani said that. He ran on that. Now he's talking about raising taxes when people are already hurting. Spamberger in Virginia doing the same thing. Let's go back to the lines. We've got Kevin. Kevin is in Upland, California. Kevin, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, good afternoon. Nice to talk to you, Carl. I just wanted to point out that the Electoral College, it's wrong on so many levels. It's the only... The presidency is the only elected position in our system that we use the Electoral College. And I want to tell you why it's wrong. 8 out of 10 red states are welfare socialist states. They cannot carry their own weight. They're not capitalist states, and they never have. The blue states pay the bills of the red states, yet the red states get a fair shake. They get more than a fair shake. Wait. Okay. Hold on. Because that information is a little bit jumbled. I've heard this argument before. I've studied that. This is complete and utter nonsense. This is a reason why people from blue states are leaving to red states, because they are absolutely disastrous, and you know that. California, New York, Illinois, they're carrying us. Have you checked? Tell you what, we only have 10 seconds. Go count the debt load of every single one of the blue states that you mentioned. I'm sorry, Kevin, I don't have enough time. Callers, stay on the line if you can hold on. David and Michael.
So let's get her teed up.
You want to play rough? Say hello to my little friend. What the hell's going on out here? Ooh, that's a bingo.
Hey, El Dorados, Carl Jackson will be sitting in for me today. Try and be kind. I know he's not the black face of white supremacy, but I worked very hard for that title, and I ain't giving it up. Please say hello, Carl Jackson.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. He did work hard for that title. Man, I was concerned for that cat. I'm not going to lie. When he was running for governor in California, and where was he walking? Somebody threw something at him, threw an egg, and I'm like, man, in Venice. Yeah, people are just nuts. Anyway, 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE, coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. All right, so feel free to call in. David and Michael, I will get to you momentarily. I appreciate you guys waiting. I promise I'll get to you as quickly as possible. Let me just set this up, and let me just
let me just go through what's happening in Virginia. And again, if you are listening in Virginia, if you are in earshot, I don't know if you're still able to vote on this referendum at this point or not, but please make sure you go out and vote no, because the left they're literally trying to fundamentally transform the country. So the gentleman that called in earlier, listen, this is an argument that has been used by the left for quite some time. And there's a level of truth to it, right? Which always makes it a little tricky. All right. But basically he says, that the blue states are propping up, several red states. What they don't consider, for one, is that a lot of the blue states, you think of the biggest blue states, you think of California, you think of New York, you think of Illinois, look at their debt load. Remember that it was the federal government that had to bail the state of California out under the Biden administration. And now California is being forced to live within their means, and they're not doing so. So they're in debt yet again under the leadership of the Democrats, right? And honestly, we're paying into their social welfare system. California has, I want to say, oh man, I want to say something like California has more welfare recipients than almost all of the other states combined. It's some ridiculous number. So when somebody calls in and says, well, the red states are like the red states aren't pulling their weight or dependent on the blue states, there's so much more to that. It's just not accurate. We're actually helping out a lot of blue states too, quite frankly, like California, because they have such huge welfare states and they count on bailouts. They're not getting it with Trump in office right now. Illinois, New York, the same thing. And I know there's conservatives in all of these states, but the states are being run absolutely horribly. That's a fact of the matter. There are a lot of, smaller red states on it, but it's the same argument that they have for crime. Well, you have more crime in red. I'm like, where are you getting this nonsense? The reason why the left wants to win the popular vote is because you got a bunch of commies that live in these large blue population centers, and they can win the country because so many people will move to L.A., so many people live in L.A., I should say, so many people live in New York City, so many people live in Chicago. That's the reason why they gerrymandered Illinois the way that they did. Have you ever seen the map of Illinois, how they gerrymandered that state? It is the craziest map. In order to be able to pick up as many black and minority voters as they can, it literally snakes through Illinois. This is what they want to do in Virginia. It's just absolutely insane. Frankly, blue states cannot survive at this point, in my opinion, without red states. Or maybe I should say we have a symbiotic relationship. We need each other perhaps more than I want to admit. But it's amazing to me. These people get cocky in these blue states, especially in these larger, these cities where, frankly, were it not for red areas in your blue states, you guys wouldn't be able to survive. The farmers, the truckers, so on, et cetera. So please, let's stay humble when it comes to that stuff. Let's stop pretending like blue states are the bee's knees. They're just not anymore. They're absolute and utter disasters the way that they're ran by Democrats at this point. They're just not ran well by Democrats, and that's a fact. That's the reason why you have so many people leaving California, coming to places like Florida, going to Texas, going to Arizona, going to Tennessee, going to the Carolinas. The same is true. It is hard to walk around Florida. You ask people where they're from. It is so hard to find somebody that was born and raised here. It is unbelievable. Oh, I'm from New York. Oh, I'm from New Jersey. Oh, I'm from California. You hear it all the time. I'm from California, for God's sakes. You hear it all the time. All the time. It's amazing to me. Okay, let's, how much time do I have left in this block? I tell you, okay, let me just speak on this, and then I promise David and Michael, I will get to you in the next block. If you don't mind holding on, I'll get to you in the next block, I promise. I just want to finish making this point when it comes to Virginia and what they're doing with this lady referendum. So basically, snap election. All right. So they just got in office. Abigail Spanberger just got in office. Democrats are running the entire state. They run the state house. They run the state senate. They run everything. So what they've done is literally within a matter of, short period of time, put this referendum together to basically gerrymander the state. I'm not even sure that the Supreme Court will go for it. Guy Benson writes, according to recent judicial rulings, they violated the law in barreling through this process, but the state Supreme Court has decided to wait until after the hastily arranged referendum takes place. So many legal observers believe the process is tainted at every level, he writes, having breached legislative rules, state law, and Virginia's Constitution itself. He goes on, whether the relevant high court agrees with this assessment remains to be seen. Either way, voters should enroll the dice. Voting against this amendment is the only way to guarantee its failure. Now, the language that the left is using is fairness, fairness, fairness. I wish Republicans would learn to speak the language of politics, because this isn't fair. Well, Carl, look at Florida. We're holding out in the state of Florida, but I think it's a legitimate point that our governor is arguing. And just like it's legitimate, like California, we should have more Republican representation in California than we do have. But the state has been gerrymandered to a point. They bring in a bunch of illegals into the state of California. They bring a bunch of illegals or dump them off in these blue states because they want more representation. They want more federal funding, and that's what they end up getting. But we should have more representation in the state of California based on, was it 2020 or the 2024 election? Either way, we should have more representation in those states, and we don't. Texas was the same. So when people, Texas is gerrymandering, Florida is no. What we were trying to do is get the seats that should have been given to us based upon the votes. And it was 2020 because it was going back to the census, if I recall correctly. All right, so now here's what Democrats are seeking to do. They're seeking to unroot an overwhelmingly supported amendment ratified by Virginians just 6 years ago. So Virginia is technically a blue state. So Virginians came together in a bipartisan fashion, and it was a high turnout. It was a presidential election at the time, and it stripped redistricting authority away from the politicians, the Abigail Spanbergers, and it put it in a bipartisan commission. Not like the fake bipartisan commission in California, where Democrats pretended like they were Republicans, but a real bipartisan commission. This was a straightforward ballot on a presidential election. Here's how that ballot amendment read in 2020. Listen, and I quote, should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to establish a redistricting commission consisting of 8 members of the General Assembly and 8 citizens of the Commonwealth that is responsible for drawing the congressional and state legislative districts that will be subsequently voted on but not changed by the General Assembly and enacted without the governor's involvement, and to give the responsibility of drawing districts to the Supreme Court of Virginia if the redistricting commission fails to draw districts or the General Assembly fails to enact districts by certain deadlines. Now, that's long, but if you read it, you can understand it. Here's what they're putting out now, and then I'm going to come back to this too. This is the referendum now. Listen to how convoluted this is. You don't even know what the heck it's saying, and that's by design. Here's what Spanberger and her clan put out. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? What? That state is mostly Republican, ironically, but many of them vote Democrat. She just doesn't want them to have any choice. 10 Democrats, 1 Republican. That's crazy. We'll be back with your calls, I promise. All right. Welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in. Some of you are reaching out on social media. I appreciate that. You can find me on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show. If you have something nice to say, I really like that. If you have something really mean to say, as long as you like, share, and subscribe to my podcast, I'll take that too. All right. So The Carl Jackson Show, you can subscribe on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Follow me all things social media, X, Instagram, and Facebook. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. Always an honor to fill in for the Sage, Larry Elder, 888-971-SAGE. Let's go to your calls. Let's go to David. David has been waiting patiently in Whittier, California. Man, that brings back memories. David, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, Carl. Okay, let's talk about Tom Steyer and Xavier Becerra, both candidates, Democrats, running for governor. These people are a danger to our lives. And how is that? Tom Steyer is doing these ads on TV. Abolish ICE, this and that and this, that. And then I have a 3-point plan of Steyer's, and that is to abolish ICE. He wants sanctuary cities to continue. He wants open borders. Now, folks, Becerra also, he was the Attorney General of California, and in 2016, he created the sanctuary state laws that we're dealing with now, which includes going after businesses who cooperate with ICE to, like when a fast food business hires people, they need to check the status, the legal status of citizens. They do that. They were able to do that, but Becerra declared $5,000 fine for businesses that do that. Look, this is why your health care costs are going up in California. This is why these gangs, these mass smash and grab by these foreign group gangs are running rampant in California. This is why you're having home break-ins by illegal aliens. And people need to understand what the sanctuary state laws did and what happened before. Under Obama and Clinton, the ICE were able to go to the courts and go to the jails and pull out the criminals and deport them. But the sanctuary state laws don't do that. Folks, we need to be in the business of making Republicans out of Democrats, folks. We need to expose this horrible Tom Steyer. He's a maniac. These are, Carl, they are the maniacs of Metropolis. They are the kleptocrat Democrat legislature.
It's amazing. And, David, listen, I appreciate the call. Tom Steyer, you guys in the audience, you can check me if I'm wrong, 888-971-SAGE. He made a lot of his money off of coal. And this is a green energy guy, allegedly. If I'm not mistaken, he owns a facility that trains ICE agents. The guy is absolutely insane, but actually, I take that back. He's not. He isn't. He just thinks that you're stupid. Tom Steyer thinks that you're stupid. This guy has become wealthy, enriched himself off of the things that he fights against in the public eye, but he invests in things that are not, that makes him a complete and total hypocrite. And then to say, I'm going to fight for it. Think of this. I'm going to fight for the illegal immigrant. That when you're saying you want to defund ICE, you want to get rid of ICE, I'm going to fight for the illegal immigrant. I'm going to fight for the criminal. I'm not going to fight for the Jocelyn Nungareys. I'm not going to fight for the Laken Rileys. I'm going to fight for these people. And why? Because he, like the rest of the people on the left, they want a perpetual underclass. And I was listening to Mamdani the other day, doubling down on democratic socialism. I don't even think he can understand it. It doesn't even make sense. Democratic socialism. Mob rule, but I want government to basically run the economy. It's the weirdest thing, but whatever. Basically, he's a communist. And also, he's an Islamist, which I actually think his communism is just a ruse, in my opinion, to usher in Islamism. That's what I believe. But these people this guy ran on affordability, mocking Republicans. All things aren't affordable. And then he gets in and he says, you know what? I want to tax the rich. I want to make sure that people that have second homes in New York, if they have a second home here, we're going to tax them. The nanny of New York falls for it, too. So they're going to make life more affordable for you, but they're going to make the job creators move. I don't care if I'm a billionaire. It is immoral to take my money. It is immoral. Get your butt up and work. You go figure out, you go hustle and make something work. Make your idea make you money. Don't try to take it from me. Money doesn't exist in a vacuum. You can create something. You can figure out ways to make money. You can go get another job. I know people don't want to hear that. You can do it. Sometimes I feel like I'm a Jamaican, but I keep cracking. I mean, you just have to do it. You just have to do it. It's insane. If you want to vote for the total destruction of California, then yeah, vote for Tom Steyer. Think about what the left did with you. I know Eric Swalwell is old news, but he shouldn't be, because he's emblematic of what the left is. You got another one out today. You got what's that chick name? Something McCormick. I saw that on Real Clear Politics. So Sheila was Sir Phyllis McCormick. Is that what you said? Thank you, Mr. McConnell. All right. So she had to resign today, gaffling millions of dollars away from COVID. Living lavishly. She already had money. She had a great career beyond being a congresswoman. I believe the lady was in medicine. Think about Eric Swalwell. You want to know who the left is? Again, I told you, as far as states are concerned, look no further than Mamdani. Look at how he's running things. Look at what Abigail Spanberger is doing. Look at what Gavin Newsom is an absent governor. I don't even know why he's governor of California. The guy literally doesn't do anything except to cause pain. Sit down and cause pain, with the stroke of a pen, when he can. But consider Eric Swalwell. The Democrat Party knew this fool was a predator. They didn't care. For all of you women that believe the Democrat Party is really looking out for women, first off, let's be real. I don't know how you can believe that when they believe that dudes can be chicas. That's the dumbest thing ever. That's erasing you as a people. I don't know why you would go for them in the first place. And then you look at Eric Swalwell. This fool was a predator. Nancy Pelosi knew it. Every single one of these fools knew it. It's okay. We don't care. As long as he gets us the power we need. The only way they cut him off at the kneecaps, the only reason they cut him off is because you've got Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. Please vote Steve Hilton. You got Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco running shop in California right now, and they got nervous. Eric Swalwell was in the way. So they decided to call out the predator, even to the point where this guy may end up going to prison. But they knew he was worthy of prison from the get-go, and they kept raising him up through the ranks. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to the program. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Larry Elder. Just a quick reminder that President Trump has extended the ceasefire when it comes to Iran. I believe there's probably a little more to that. Perhaps there's some positioning going on. I mean, obviously at this point, you're not going to be able to work with IRGC people or any of the besieged or any of these people that are seemingly in charge. But President Trump is giving them time, allegedly, to be able to get their act together and come to an understanding amongst themselves, basically, because the leadership is in such disarray since he's killed the leadership. I would disagree with the sentiment that the regime is gone. I do believe that the regime is still intact. It's just the lower level of the regime. And I believe that if we can kill enough of them, and frankly, guys, we're just in too deep at this point. And honestly, I think this is a huge success mission by President Donald Trump. And I know there's a lot of people out there on the left and frankly on the right that might disagree with that point of view. And that's fine. You can be wrong. But I believe, listen, these people have been attacking us for 47 years. President Trump is getting all this grief. 47 years. And in 50 days, he virtually annihilates this paper tiger. That's what the left can't stand. That's what many of the establishment, whether they're in the GOP or the Democrat Party, can't stand. In 50 days, he did what they were unwilling to do for 47 years. And this is good for the United States of America. I'm sorry, this is good. Venezuela, Cuba, looks like it may fall. You got China. One of the things that I forgot to mention earlier, the ship seized in the Strait of Hormuz carried chemical shipments for missiles from China. I wonder if President Trump wins he is. Listen, we're going to win this battle. The Strait of Hormuz is open now, but people will feel safe going through the Strait of Hormuz. He should rename China. We should, like all of the maps that we print in the United States, he should start calling it China. Like, I think Gina would be a good way to spell it. But he's putting them on blast. He's putting Russia on blast. This guy is cleaning up the mess that the Democrat Party left, and frankly, doing in 50 days what wasn't done for 47 years. That's making America stronger. China isn't going to look at us like we're a paper tiger. Iran isn't. Russia isn't. I'm sorry. To me, that is America first. All right, let's get to the calls. Michael has been waiting patiently. Michael is in Riverside. Is that Riverside, California?
Yes, it is.
All right, Michael, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic. Thank you for being so patient.
Let me give you just a quick background. I have 27 years in the Air Force. I was a flight instructor.
Okay.
I flew in Vietnam, and of all things, I went through ROTC. I didn't go to Colorado Springs, where where you have the Air Force Academy. I actually was in ROTC from University of California, Berkeley, which sounds kind of odd, but remember in Oppenheimer, the atomic bomb was researched at Lawrence Radiation Laboratory above Cal. So that's where the bomb developed itself to begin with. Now, I'm going to just say a couple of things about that you did mention. As conservatives and absolutely believers in our forefathers and having a government that flourishes with capitalism, we have names we mention like, these little players today, like Newsom. We're losing really the grasp of the people that made the Democratic Party what it now has fallen into. Wilson, Roosevelt, FDR.
Yeah.
Truman,
Yeah.
Kennedy. What do they have in common? They all started wars. Wilson, World War I, got us in. Put us in. World War II, FDR, and he also had Japanese Americans, third and fourth generation in Daly City, put in camps, which is unbelievable. Number 3, Harry Truman, really finished the Japanese, took them to the ground, dropped 2 atomic bombs. What would they say about Trump doing that? Kennedy got into and Truman wasn't through. Then went into Korea. That was a disaster. Even MacArthur said you got to drop an atomic bomb to stop that, but he decided not to. Kennedy.
Michael, do me a favor. Hold on. I want you to finish your point on the other side. You'll have to wrap it up for me, but just hold on. I want to make sure you finish your point. All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show, coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. Man, I got so much to get to, guys. It is insane, but the lines have blown up, so I want to make sure I get to as many callers as possible as well. I still haven't gone through everything they're trying to do with this Virginia gerrymandering race, so if you're in Virginia, do not let them do this to you, where they will make it literally 10 Democrats versus 1. All you have to do is look at what Republicans are doing, everything that Abigail Spanberger ran on. And I already knew this. You can do just a little bit of research to figure out these people are liars. But the people in Virginia are so upset with this lady. Her polling numbers are absolutely terrible. But what you have to take from that is she doesn't care. Because what the Democrat Party understands, they understand how to use power. And they understand that when they legislate things, they're virtually impossible to turn around. Look at Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster. Anybody that experienced health care prior to Obamacare, health insurance prior to Obamacare, you know it's true. It's caused everything to go up. It's insane. You don't get better care. You have less time with your doctors. Your insurance premiums come out are insane. You have to pay these huge deductibles. I mean, it's insane. Everything he said it would be, it isn't. But that's by design. This is what the left understands. They'll lie to you all day. Oh, you have your doctors. You can keep your doctor. Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, and they always give it great names, right? The Affordable Care Act. You have a family of four. It's going to cost you like 25% less or something like that. I believe he said at the time. No, literally. So I have been self-employed for a long time. All right, and so I remember having to buy an insurance plan at the time, and I had one. It was the best of the best. PPO, I think at the time, right before Obamacare kicked in, I could see any doctor I wanted. I mean, I had a primary doctor. I could go to specialists. $180 per month. $180 per month. And I'm telling you guys, it was a struggle for me then to make that payment. But it was so beneficial because of the benefits that I got for it. Obamacare kicked in. $740 a month. I mean, just think about it back then. And I was struggling. $740 per month. So you know what I did? I had to go without health insurance. Thank God. My wife had some at her job. It wasn't as good, but had some at her job at the time. But even that, I had to wait years because we couldn't afford that. It was insane. It was insane. But this is what the left does. What they do, they know that when they win elections, when they get power, they take advantage of that power. They don't care about voters. The fact that they're saying they are coming out, they want to be socialists. When Obama did that little singing along with Mamdani the other day, you guys all saw that video, right? Singing, what was it? When the wheels on the bus go round and round. Well, the wheels on the bus of New York City, of California, all these blue states are coming off. But what Obama was doing, in my opinion, he's cozying up to Mamdani, or Mamdani is cozying up to him. Somebody made this point, not me, but it's a brilliant point. Somebody made the point that what Mamdani is signaling, or Mamdani, whatever, what he's signaling is there's nobody else in the Democrat Party that has the profile still that Obama has, which doesn't bode well for the candidates in 2028. What Obama is signaling is this is where we should go. Because that's where he wanted to go all along. But he was handcuffed to some extent by his party. Just so you know, you're talking about how much you hate Trump, some of you that are in the middle, some of you that are on the left. He doesn't want to hurt you. He wants a better life for you. He wants a safer country for you. He wants a better economy for you. He wants the rule of law. He wants to get criminals off the street. Democrats are doing everything to fight against that. I want you to finish up your point. You got to be quick. We got a lot of callers, but you're making a good point. I wanted to make sure, and thank you for your service, by the way, but I wanted to make sure that you finish up your point.
Thank you, Carl. I'm going to skip over something and get to what you're doing. That's why I called. The thing that I do like what Trump has been doing. He's making a very strategic bad mistake. What you have to do to stop this from going on for the world and for the people in Iran that their country belongs to them, you must take out the infrastructure immediately. You do. You have to take the bridges down. You have to take the oil fields down. You have to stop it, turn the lights off. That country has lived for thousands of years without power. They'll get back. But when they see that the money is not there, that's the oxygen. We did it in World War I. We took the Germans down. Took them 20-some-odd years to get on their feet back. We took them down the second time, wrecked them to the ground, and Japan They got right back, and they became strong allies of us. You must take them down completely. Then they have nothing to do with the crowds that are there that know what they've done. They'll just disappear into the air. They'll be out of there. You cannot leave them with $1. Trump is thinking as a businessman. We want to leave that wrong. You have to take it down 100%.
Listen, Michael, listen. Yeah. I appreciate the call, and I agree with your sentiment. And frankly, I got to say, I think what President Trump is doing, and thank you for the call, Michael. I think what President Trump is doing. Listen, he wants to make sure, I believe, that as many Persians survive as possible. This isn't an easy decision. This is a hard decision. But ultimately, I think you're right. These people are already suffering. We've got to make the IRGC and the besieged suffer. And I think that's what President Trump is doing. I won't be surprised if the news is a bit different in 24 to 48 hours. Obviously, I don't know. We will have to wait and see. Do we have time for another call, Mr. McConnell? Okay, all right. I'll come back with your calls. I see you out there, Philip, Sam, James, Michael, or Eduardo, Brent. Number to call in to the relieffactor.com studio, 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. Carl Jackson sitting in for Larry Elder. Guys, we got to talk about election fraud. We got to talk about this appeals court sides with the Trump on transgender policies, the Mamdani Act, which I love, and a bunch of weak Republicans that are for amnesty. All of that and more coming up. Virginians, don't let them turn your state into California. Do not let them turn your state into Illinois. Do not let them turn your state into New York. You have literally 6 Democrats, Republicans in the House of Representatives. You have 5 Republicans. It doesn't get more purple than that. It doesn't get more fair than that. If you have 10-1, look at what Abigail Spanberger is already doing to your state, breaking all of the promises. The Democrats intentionally, you guys may recall, remember it was a shutdown at the time that they imposed, the Democrat Party, because they wanted to win that election and they wanted to squeeze Trump and make him look bad. Don't let them keep getting away with this stuff. Turn that referendum down. Okay, real quick, let's go to some calls. Let's go to Philip. Philip is in San Jose. Philip, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Go right ahead, Philip.
Okay, I'm talking about this Iran. We have to totally eliminate Iran. We cannot allow them to do anything with nuclear because they will attack us. And we know that. And President Trump is always on the watch out for that. We have to take care of it down. Do you agree or not?
Hey, listen, I totally agree with that. And President Trump has said as much. He has been saying that for 40 years. Just for the sake of time, listen, I appreciate the call, but I wholeheartedly agree with that. President Trump is not going to allow that to happen. He said over and over again, he's been emphatically clear, despite what the left-wing media has tried to say, that they cannot have nuclear weapons. That means the uranium has to go. All right, so the Strait of Hormuz needs to be open. The uranium needs to go. Frankly, me personally, I prefer the people be freed as well because I think that secures freedom in that region for a long time. I know people are looking at Iran. Iran is a different place. You have tons of Persian people there that don't want this regime in place. This is not your Gaza, all right? This is not, Yemen. That's not what this is. All right, let's go to Sam. Sam, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. Hey, Sam, you got the mic. You got to be quick, though.
Well, I finally get to talk to the best of the conservative party radio talk show hosts. Hopefully you get the win out of all you guys, man. There's a big spot to fill, but you've been here. I've been listening to you and seeing you for a while. So listen, we
got 30 seconds.
Really.
Okay.
It's going to be. I got you. Cockroaches and voter integrity. So cockroaches, they say cockroaches can live through nuclear war, but How about human cockroaches? So that's got to happen. You kill the adults and you come back and you get the children and the leftovers. You know how you have to handle cockroaches here. So now voter integrity. Does voter term limits?
Wait. You can, Sam, if you want to hold on to talk about voter integrity, feel free to do so. I'll get to the rest of you on the other side. Philip, James, Eduardo, Brent.
So let's get her teed up!
You want to play rock? Say hello to my little friend! What the hell's going on out here? Ooh, that's a bingo.
Hey, El Dorados, Carl Jackson will be sitting in for me today. Try and be kind. I know he's not the black face of white supremacy, but I worked very hard for that title, and I ain't giving it up. Please say hello to Carl Jackson.
Historically, the president's party doesn't usually do well in the midterm races. So why do Democrats need to do this? I mean, it sounds like it's acknowledging that the Democratic Party can't win on its own, that it has to go through these measures.
The Democrats can certainly win if it's a fair fight. And the question I have...
It wasn't going to be a fair fight in Virginia?
No, it wasn't going to be a fair fight nationally if you try to steal seats in Texas, in North Carolina, and in Missouri. And so the question I have for people who are critical of that which we're doing is, what were we supposed to do? Nothing? Just allow them to try to stack the deck, to try to steal seats? And all we're trying to do is meet them and try to make the system as fair as it possibly can be. And that's all that this is about.
All right, so remember, now Eric Holder is a liar. He's a supreme liar. He's very good. He's very good at lying, and he's very good at framing the argument. I mean, he's an attorney, and he's a good attorney. There's no doubt about it. But remember, California, Illinois, New York, these places have been, New Jersey, these places have been gerrymandered like crazy. So he's talking about they want to be fair. No, it's not about fairness. Right now you have six Republicans in Virginia. 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans represented in the House of Representatives. So is Eric Holder saying that 10 Democrats being represented is fair? What they're looking to do. And callers, I'll get right back to you, Sam. I'll get right back to you momentarily. And I got so much to try to get through. I hope you are ready for some conservative cardio. What the left is giving you is commie cardio. But I want to make sure that I cover this, and then I want to get into some election fraud. I mean, honestly, I've got an entire outline here, and I don't think I've gotten to 1/10 of it. Something that Texas AG Paxson is up to that I love. The Mamdani Act Chip Roy is up to that I love. I love the fact that Democrats are admitting that they're socialists. What I'm frustrated with is that conservatives don't seem to know how to combat it effectively when it comes to communication. And that's really frustrating. All right, so I read you earlier. We'll recap for the sake of time. And I do want to remind you guys that there is at least a ceasefire when it comes to Iran. President Trump has decided to extend that basically so whoever the leaders are in Iran at this point can try to get their act together and work work together unanimously. So he's waiting to see if that occurs. I'm not sure if that's what he's really up to. You never know with President Trump. I hope he's buying time so our military can get our stuff together and blow them into HE double hockey sticks, to be frank with you. But again, what Democrats are seeking to do, just a reminder, they want to uproot what is a 6-year amendment. They decided on this, the Virginians did 6 years ago, a referendum, and it was a clear ballot question during the presidential election. Virginians voted on it overwhelmingly that they wanted an independent commission to be able to decide the redistricting measures. And everybody was okay with that. Again, it passed 6 years ago overwhelmingly. Guy Benson wrote about this in the Washington Examiner. The yes side won in a landslide, 2/3 of voters answering in the affirmative. The redistricting process was changed with clear and decisive assent of the people. The resulting map features 6 seats occupied by Democrats, 5 by Republicans. For reference, he says in 2024 general election, Democrats won the statewide popular vote in the House of Representatives by a combined 51% versus 48% for Republicans. So they got a 6-5 map. So now the Democrats, what they're drawing up now, will give them a 10-1 advantage. And what they're going to do is they're going to exploit the very liberal part of Northern Virginia, just basically to grab votes. So what they're going to also create is 5 members of Congress all coming from one county, Fairfax County. What? And then they're just going to go for a power grab. And they don't care what the voters think. They don't care what the voters have to say. I want to, and Sam, I'll go right back to you momentarily. I want you to hear this. I want you to hear cut number 9. This is Senator Tim Kaine. Here's what he has to say. I want you guys to listen to this intently. Cut number 9, por favor, Mr. McConnell.
Listen, let's talk about the last vote there in Virginia, the presidential vote. Vice President Kamala Harris won by about 5 percentage points. So the state is relatively split with a left lean, but 90% of House members from Virginia being from one party?
90% of Virginians are not Democrats. That's true.
Correct.
But about 100% of Virginians want election results to be respected. We're deeply worried that Donald Trump will try to interfere with the election results this November or in 2028 because we saw him do it before. And we have to have a Congress that will stand up to it. In 2021, all 5 Republicans in Virginia went along with Donald Trump in his effort to overturn election results. And so we're giving Virginians a chance to vote, which Republican states have not done, about whether they want to have a congressional delegation that will stand up against Donald Trump's tyranny.
To stand up against Donald Trump's tyranny while they're trying to wipe away their Constitution, probably, or their past referendum, possibly illegally. I mean, these people are insane. 90% of Virginians are not Democrats. 90%. Yet they want over 90% of Democratic representation in the House of Representatives. California is a disaster. Illinois is a disaster. New York is a disaster. I'm sorry. I know we got some conservatives out there, and I appreciate you guys fighting. Please vote for Steve Hilton in California. Don't let Virginia be the same. Sam, let's finish up your call. Sam on line 2. I want to make sure you finish your point there, your last point.
Thank you, buddy. All right, so cockroaches can live through nuclear fallout, correct?
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go right ahead, Sam.
All right, so Carl, nuclear fallout, cockroaches can live through it, so we've been told. Well, how about human cockroaches? Because that's what we have in Persia. All right, and then you got to go around the rest of the world and get the rest of them. And the reason why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it, Carl, so you understand, you are the Reverend, is because the New Jerusalem drops from heaven when Paul said all of Satan will be erased. So, genocide is going to happen. All Satan, man and land, will be gone that is not godly. That's written. So now for voter integrity, if there's term limits, that's why you got what you got in Virginia. And we're about to have it here in Florida because we got the best governor in Florida. But we're about to lose them because of term limits. Your vote is term limits. Fix the voting. Do not imply any more amendments. The 22nd Amendment took our rights from us.
I get your point. Sam, I appreciate the call. Thank you for calling in. Sam is a longtime caller. Appreciate you being out there. Listen, I don't believe with the first point, I don't believe we're the mighty per se, but here's where I do believe. I believe the IRGC and the besieged need to be taken out, at least enough of them where the people can take over. I think that's the only hope they have. And frankly, I think that's what's best long term for freedom in the Middle East when you're not working with a regime and Islamo-fascists that just want to kill Christians and Jews and all the infidels. You can't work with people like that. The only negotiation, I've said this for a long time, the only negotiating that I have with Islamo-fascists is what size bullet to use. That's they're worthless in that sense. Let me do this. How much time do we have? Do we have enough time? Okay, I tell you what. Let's go to James. James is in California. James, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. You've got the mic.
Carl, here's the frustration. You just said it. We as Republicans are not messaging the opposing views. For example, this nonsense about the Virginia, what's going on right now, trying to word it in a way that says we want that congressional districts to restore fairness. Most people are going to say, oh, I want to be fair. And then Tom Steyer, as you said, this guy's in sanctuary cities. Of course, we got crime there. We got open borders, Becerra. And then we have gerrymandering. Here's my frustration again. I'll say it again. We have to, on real time, why are we not counteracting these arguments? No, we don't say anything. And a lot of people, I hate to say it, they're not informed voters. Last thing, if anything, I hate to say this, but post-Trump, what fears me, what I get afraid is this. If anything, he's delaying the inevitable that's going to happen, which is these people, I hate to say it, are going to get nuclear bombs, and we are all going to go in smoke. I hate to say that, but if we don't get our acts together, post-Trump, Democrat gets in there, forget it.
Listen, I appreciate it. I don't think Trump is going to let that happen, but you made a point that I want to follow up on when we return. All right. Welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. We're live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. My name is Carl Jackson, sitting in for the great Eldersky. I'll get back to your calls momentarily. We've got Philip, we've got Eduardo, we've got Brent, we've got... we just had James. We have Richard. I see you out there. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes. Lou's got my back right here at AM 950, TheAnswerOrlando.com. A great radio station here. You can listen to our big dogs, the American Adversaries, literally Sunday through Friday at 5 p.m. Check out their drive time show. Roger Franklin Williams talking old school. Plenty of great stuff here at TheAnswerOrlando.com to check out. Also, Sean McConnell is in my ear. Carl Lavin. If you ever get Carl Lavin, I said Carl Lavin. I'm sorry, Chris. Chris Lavin. But I was thinking, if you ever get a show, you should make them say it like Mark Levin. That would be pretty cool. Although I hope you don't get a show before me, but you never know. So I appreciate you, Rick Low Key, and then we've got Leslie Friedman on the lines. And man, the lines have lit up tonight. Leslie is putting in some work. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-SAGE. I'm so glad that you guys are out there. There's still some things that I want to talk about. So I want to talk about some things. I'm going to pepper in some of your calls. When we were speaking to, was it James from Covina, one of the things that he said struck a chord with me. Listen, a lot of people are concerned about Iran. I'm not. Guys, let's put this into perspective. I think we're 50 days in, approximately. People were talking about Iran. The Middle East was terrified of Iran. Trump has decimated them, virtually destroyed them in 50 days. The only thing that frustrates me is I don't think there should have ever been a ceasefire in the first place. I think you just eradicate these people. I think you kill as many of these people, these Islamists, as you possibly can until they cry uncle and then until the people can take over. That's my only frustration. But still, despite that, to deny that this is one of the most successful military missions we've seen is crazy. 50 days. 47 years these people have murdered and maimed Americans, and we're talking about 50 days. Oh, well, the Strait of Hormuz, he should have accounted. Come on. Of course he accounted for that. Honestly, they have for 50 years. That's why they didn't do anything. Now he's proving that they're a paper tiger. I have no fear that this thing will come to an end, and soon. None. 50 days, guys. Don't let these naysayers this has been phenomenal. I just don't want to wait. I want Trump to get the credit that he deserves, but I don't want it to remain in the headlines, if I'm just being real, for the normies. Because I don't think Republicans are messaging this as well as they should be. I'm going to play you some clips here momentarily. I do want to say this real quick before I get back to the lines.
Republicans have to stop helping the left. Hat tip the Federalists. This was days ago. I'm sure the great Eldersky talked about this, but 6 House Republicans vote to block Trump from enforcing immigration law. Look at what the left is trying to do. They're trying to usher in socialism. Abigail Spanberger is trying to do a total takeover of Virginia, where that state will be one-party rule for the remainder of our lives. Not only that, obviously that will impact national elections if you get a bunch of House members in the Democrat Party. If Democrats and leftists were, with this pact that they have for the popular vote, were to get to 270 electoral votes, the entire nation will be as disastrous as California. The guy they called in, I mean, obviously he hasn't checked out the debt of California. I mean, that's insane. These blue states are carrying. Give me a break. Give me. I mean, it's insane. But this is where we're at. And Republicans, we don't need Republicans that are going to help Democrats fulfill their fantasies in the United States. We don't need the Representative Don Bacon of Nebraska, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Mike Lawler of New York, Maria Salazar right here in the state of Florida, Carlos Jimenez in Florida, Nicole Maliotakis in New York. I like Nicole Maliotakis. She's wrong on this. Voted alongside Democrats to pass the Democrat Massachusetts Rep. Ayanna Presley's discharge petition that would extend TPS for Haitians until April of 2029. The longer this goes on, the harder the fight is going to be to remove illegals from this country. I appreciate that people love America so much that they want to come to this country, but the way the Biden administration did things was just wrong. He let people in. He gave them this TPS status just so that they can't be deported. He didn't go through the regular processes, and I'm sorry, they've got to go. We are losing this country. It's not about Republicans and Democrats anymore, though it is, but it's not. The Marxists are going full steam ahead. They're telling you exactly what they're going to do. And the last thing we need are Republicans helping them. Oh, but we need the labor. Fools, I work in a field that is straight up in the landscape business. I've worked the janitorial business. I don't know where these fools get this nonsense that we need illegals to survive. It's not true. I see a lot of illegals out there, frankly, and of the industries that I own businesses in. You know what? When laws crack down, you know what people do? They're Americans. They just don't want to pay more. It's as simple as that. We need them to pick our fruit. No, we need racists. We've got machines that literally do that now. These people are clueless, including in the Republican Party. They are out of touch. I know they're concerned about they're concerned about their races, their political position. They're not concerned about the people. I'm so sick and tired of this. You don't need leftists in the Republican Party. Just drives me nuts. Okay, I'll calm down now. Let me share this. Hat tip Daily Signal. DOJ's Harmeet Dillon details just how much a mess voter rolls are. Assistant AG for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon, man, I love her. She came on Maria Bartiromo's show on a Sunday on Fox. And she said that federal officials discovered tens of thousands of dead people and non-citizens on voting rolls. Carl, that's no big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal. You can have an election. It could be a local election. It could be a national election. A lot of these elections are decided by razor-thin margins. Why would anybody want cheating? Why would anybody want cheating? Why would you want Democrats to cheat? Why would you want Republicans to cheat? Why would you want anybody to dilute your vote? Regardless of what party you're in. There's some things that are common sense that we just need to come in agreement with. Mail-in voting should be extremely rare. If you're disabled, I believe it should be if you're traveling. If you're traveling, you lose out. If you're in the military, that's it. Anyway, into this, I'll end your calls when we get back. I'll tell you what Act Blue is up to and what Kim Paxton is doing to fight it. All of that and more coming up. Okay, before I get back to some of this election fraud stuff, which is very important, that right now we have Harmeet Dillon Assistant AG taking on Ken Paxton of running for the Senate in Texas, taking on as well. Let me do this. Let me go to a call or two. We got a full line, you guys, listen, I appreciate you guys calling in. Just a full screen here. So God bless you guys. Let's go to Philip. Philip has been waiting patiently in San Jose. Philip, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. You got the mic.
Hello. Yes. Well, the situation right now is blim for me. I don't understand what's going on. And you are so informative. It's unbelievable. You are so dramatic. It's unbelievable. You are the man. And Larry Elder should be happy that you're taking over for him for this one day. And I love you. You're a beautiful man, and I can't say any more. And I want you to help everyone that's out there that does not know what's going on in today's world. And Democrats, I don't know what happened. I was bodyguard for Senator Alquist in the 70s, early 70s. And he was a wonderful, wonderful man. He would not even fix his car when my best friend would drive for him to Gilroy for a luncheon. And I said, Senator, why don't you fix your car? He goes, it's the money that I'm concerned with. I will not fix my car. It runs. And he was such a wonderful man, and I wish people knew him. Anyway, that's how I feel, and I'll never forget that ever, and that was cherished in my life. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I appreciate you sharing that story, and I'll address that. Thank you so much for the call, Philip. Listen, what changed? What changed with the Democrat Party? A man by the name of Barack Obama, also Bernie Sanders, also the Squad, and all of these up-and-comers that were coming up, literally turning the party to the left. And Democrats didn't do anything about it. Now, they contained Obama to some degree, but he got in Obamacare. But unfortunately, or fortunate for us, he stunk so much as a president. All of this stuff, this revised history, like he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Even Democrats couldn't stand him a couple of years in. Remember, they lost the midterms big time in 2010. Republicans run everything up and down the ballot, including dog catcher. Dog catcher at the time. It was absolutely insane. His popularity, even in 2012, Mitt Romney refused to fight, got scared. In the second and third debate, people were like, okay, this guy isn't a fighter. He's not going to do anything for us. But still, what people forget is that Barack Obama lost about 7 million votes votes in that election. So people were not excited about Barack Obama, but the left needed Barack Obama because they wanted to usher in race Marxism, if you will. Right? This is what they wanted to do. Cultural Marxism. They ushered it in through Obama. It was already in academia, all this Marxism nonsense. But with Obama, it went even further. It went even further. Remember, it was Obama that said, we don't need the white working class voter anymore. We're going to go for minorities. We're going to go for Latinos. So he started a lot of this race nonsense. And just over time, the left the Democrat Party has just gone further and further and further left. They brainwashed all these white liberal chicks in college. They brainwashed all these black liberal chicks in college. It's absolutely insane. And it is just a different party now. It is not a Democratic Party at all by any stretch of the imagination. They're not. They don't have your best interest at heart. It's just crazy where we're at. Let's go to. Oh, we only have a minute. Okay, I tell you what. The phones are still, good Lord. All right, I'm going to go through your calls. I'm going to go through some more clips that I have for you. I got some Mamdani clips that I want to play for you because I want you guys to understand all the grief that the media is giving President Trump. Please do not forget who Democrats are and what they will do when they get in power. Higher inflation, higher taxes. You're worried about crime. Now you're worried about illegal immigration. You're worried about housing costs. Did you know that illegals make up about 60%, roughly thereabouts, of the rental market, causing rental prices to climb across the country? The Center for Immigration Studies did some research on this. We Democrats are telling you who they are. Believe them. Believe them, for God's sakes. We'll be back. All right. I want to just take the time real quickly to thank Larry Elder for allowing me to sit behind his microphone. I mean, Larry is huge, and it's always an honor and it's always a pleasure. And I just want to make sure that I make mention of that. Literally, before I even got into this game, if you will, of radio, I was reading Larry Elder. I read his book, Stupid Black Men. I know that sounds like a crazy title. When I first saw it, I was like, what kind of fool would write? And then I read the thing and I was hooked. And so anyway, God bless Larry Elder. I'm so glad that he's on the airwaves, bringing the truth, the sage of South Central. So thank you, Larry, for allowing me to sit behind your microphone. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that. All right. I want to get through some calls. Man, you guys are going to have to check out my podcast, The Carl Jackson Show, on YouTube, wherever you go to get your podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me. Some of you have on X, Instagram, and Facebook. I would certainly appreciate that. At the Carl Jackson, the Carl Jackson Show is where you can go. You can check out my store. Salem has a store up, carljacksonstore.com, carljacksonstore.com, carljacksonstore.com. And actually, I have a buddy of mine whose daughter is involved in an Easter Seals video to support the troops. I'm putting that out on social media. So if you guys want to take a look at that, I'll have that up a little later. But she did a video that's gaining traction. That's going to help out some vets in the Idaho area. So I'll put that up if you guys could check that out. I really appreciate that. Okay. Let's do this. Let's go to some callers that have been waiting a long time. I'll try to get through to as many of you as possible. There's more clips I wanted to play, just don't know that I'll have time. I'll talk about what Ken Paxton is doing. I told you what Harmeet Dillon is doing a little bit. Actually, let me just finish this part up with Harmeet Dillon. So the Trump administration has sued multiple states for failing to turn over voter rolls to the DOJ. Why would they do that? Which is seeking to ensure compliance with the National Voter Registration Act, the Help America Vote Act, and other federal laws aimed at protecting the right to vote. Dillon told Bartiromo on her program on Sunday that even in states trying to comply with the laws, issues concerning voting eligibility were still being identified. States are not in compliance, Dillon said, even those ones who want to. So for the ones that we've run so far, she says, 60 million records that we've run, we found at least 350,000 dead people currently on the voter rolls in those jurisdictions. And we've referred approximately 25,000 people with no citizenship records to the Department of Homeland Security to look at, dig into that further and see the extent to which people voted. So some of you might be saying, what, 60 million people? There's only 350,000. Guys, if you go state by state, you go county by county, a lot of these elections are razor thin. There should be no cheating. Nobody should want cheating. I don't know why you would want one dead person voting. All right, let's go to Eduardo is in Tampa. Eduardo, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Thank you very much, Carl. Well, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard is in control of Iran. We have not learned our lessons. Back in 9/11, we had the hijackers who didn't want to learn how to land the planes. In Spain, they're going to let 500,000 migrants. Have we not learned our lesson? We need to get rid of that filibuster. This is ridiculous. This is why your phones are lit up.
All right, you know what? Here's the thing, and I appreciate that, Eduardo. You got the Save America Act. This is what's frustrating. I'll be honest with you. I'm not even convinced we necessarily need to get rid of the filibuster, and I'm not convinced that Republicans would do much if you did. They need to fight. They can do the talking filibuster. I don't see the caller that called in earlier. Oh man, I forget his name at this point. But I don't know why there isn't a concerted effort with John Thune daily. Speaker Mike Johnson does a better job daily telling you what the Democrats are doing to destroy this country. Every single day, putting them on defense, getting on television, putting them on defense. It's like, I don't know. I almost feel like some of the Republicans are still just waiting and perhaps even hoping to get past Trump instead of trying to use that guy, whether you like him or not. That guy has a backbone of steel. You could get so much accomplished with him right now. Drives me crazy. I got to admit, Richard is in, is that Moore Park or Moon Park? I don't have my glasses, so I can't see. Moore Park, California. Richard, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Yes, thank you very much, Carl. Also go by the name of Kennewick Man. He's 9,000 years old, and we're all related to him. But I'll get right to my point. I have a couple of them, but I'm just going to hit one. And that is that there's a large voting bloc that is not voting in this country. And it's a religious organization. And it is suggested by their elders that they leave politics to other people and leave it up to God. And once in a while, these people will be on your porch wanting to hand you a pamphlet. And then in there it describes, okay, now the point is that they are allowed to vote by law, but they are encouraged not to vote. You know the religion I'm talking about.
Yeah. Let me say this, Richard, and
I'm not going to mention them. I don't want to say their name. But they number in the millions in this country right now. Millions. Can you imagine? And I know many of them, and they are quite conservative in their thoughts.
Yeah. No, listen. You're right. And I think we all know who you're speaking of. I appreciate the call. But I can say this. We can make the same argument for evangelicals. There's Christians out there, evangelical Christians, that will not vote. And their pastor may not even be telling them not to get involved in the political realm. But they should, because they have the ability to hold back evil. If for nothing else, if you're a religious person, if you're a Christian, you have the ability with your vote to hold back evil. I've always looked at politics in this way, and I believe the Lord spoke to me. Lord, why should I be involved in politics as a Christian? Because you hold back evil and you give the Lord time to save people from the wrath of God. It's a pretty simple equation for me. That's why we fight. That's why I will continue to fight. We'll end this up on the other side. I'll try to take more of your calls, wrap this thing up. Okay, welcome back to the show. The last minutes remaining. Again, I'm your host, Carl Jackson. Larry, sitting in for Larry Elder tonight. Larry will be back with you tomorrow. Guys, I'm hoping this is not the end result. You've got some news organizations calling this Virginia referendum in the yes column. Right now, I'm looking at Real Clear Politics with 89% of the vote in. And if this holds true, then the commies in Virginia would have succeeded in literally gerrymandering their state to a point where 10 Democrats will be able to be voted in. I think before, or perhaps it is at the election time. But anyway, basically 10 gerrymandered seats for Democrats. These people lied. They made this referendum so confusing. And the only remedy, if yes does indeed win, the yes on this referendum does indeed win, the only remedy is for the state Supreme Court to knock this down, given that the Democrats did not go through the normal processes to get this thing up. So if yes does win, the only hope that this is rebuked is through the state Supreme Court. And I got to tell you guys, I'll just be real. I'm a little frustrated. I've heard the former governor out there, thank God, the former AG out there, thank God. Where's John Thune? Will the real John Thune please stand up? I don't get this. I don't get this. We need a messenger that is out in front of this stuff daily. Let's go to the lines. Let's go to Rain. Rain is in Melbourne, Florida. Rain, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, Carl, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to mention that China and Russia are Iran's big brother. I also wanted to ask President Trump to ask China's president what was the purpose of the balloons going over our country and our strategic areas throughout our country. Are they going to bomb us?
Yeah, you know what? I had forgotten about that, Rain. I appreciate you bringing that up. I wonder if they were just surveilling and trying to get as much information as possible. I saw somehow some of the pictures they had taken of some military installations. But, yeah, that's good. I won't mind him asking that, too. Thank you for being out there, Rain. Okay, let's go to Alexander in L.A. Alexander, you got 30 seconds, but it's yours. You got the mic.
Hi, Carl. Thanks for taking the call. Listen, I'm a German immigrant in America, and I love America, but I'm disappointed. My question is America won the war, decimated Germany, and then ended in Japan with the nuclear bombs. My question is, why are there strategic, legal, ethical, and geopolitical implications of openly advocating the use of limited targeted nuclear strikes against Iran? In particular, if America...
Hey, we're running out of time. No, I got your point, Alex. There's too many civilians. The IRGC is embedded within them. We want to kill the Islamists. The Persian people love this, love us. We don't want them dead. God bless you guys.
Andy Chrisman of For Him has spent 40-plus years in Christian music, and chances are he knows your favorite artist personally. Now he's bringing you their stories.
I'm Andy Chrisman.
In his new podcast, 1 Degree of Andy, he sits down with the voices behind the songs for real, honest, and faith-filled conversations you won't hear anywhere else.
That's a great question.
If you love Christian music, this is your backstage pass.
The 1 Degree of Andy podcast.
Listen now to 1 Degree of Andy wherever you get your podcasts.